And what's going on, guys? This is the Chairman's Wrestling Podcast. I'm Steven Vincent, and I'm back from my brief hiatus of Pokemon Go addiction. So that is what's delayed the channel per se, but that's okay because the product for WWE right now has been kind of stale anyway. I think creative has been waiting for the draft. I think we've been waiting for the draft as fans. So now that the draft has come and gone, we know who's on Raw. We know who's on SmackDown Live. The wrestling product will be more fun to talk about, so we're going to talk today about wrestling again. And I'm going to give you my predictions for the upcoming pay-per-view Battleground. It's going to be on tonight on the WWE Network. For say the pay-per-view itself, there's a couple good matches, but honestly, for a B-level pay-per-view, Battleground once again doesn't get me excited. For say last month, Money in the Bank, great pay-per-view as always. Always excited about that. Battleground, as a fan, I'm not really excited. Sure, we're all excited for the quote-unquote Shield triple threat match between WWE Champion Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and the returning Roman Reigns. But honestly, guys, after that match, is there really any match on that pay-per-view that you really want to see? I mean, sure, there's some good matches, don't get me wrong, but I feel like a lot of these wrestlers have been in the ring already, exposed enough times where you really can't get all that excited about it anymore. And as I break down the matches, I will explain my reasonings for what I said or what I say. But anyways, let's start off with the first announced match. Well, I shouldn't say first announced match, but the kickoff match that we're going to have between the Usos and Breezango. Both of these tag teams are on the SmackDown brand, and for some reason they booked this match for the pre-show, just to get the fans going, I guess. As for late, the Usos have been kind of quiet, not much going on with them guys. The last big storyline they were involved in was backing up Roman Reigns when he was the champion feuding with the club. And as for Breezango, well, ever since their really odd feud of the Golden Truth, they've kind of quietly been around. So now that the brand split has occurred and SmackDown Live has acquired both of these tag teams, which one of these tag teams is going to get the up on the other to make a move towards tag team domination on SmackDown? Now, the Usos to me are stale. They really haven't offered anything fresh to their characters in quite some time now. And even with them being out most of last year, with Jay's injury, I believe it was, it's like there's nothing to them. They're just the same thing for the last several years. Breezango, on the other hand, it's fresh, it's exciting. I've been a huge Tyler Breeze fan when he was in NXT, and I really wish that WWE would have done more of him on his arrival to the main roster, but, you know, this Breezango thing, it's not really setting the world on fire yet, but now with the brand split and the tag teams are separated, there's potential here. So, I really would like to see the up-and-coming Breezango win this match to set, you know, themselves into the conversation of we can be a top tag team on SmackDown Live. Should the Usos win this match, this will just set back Breeze and Fandango, and the Usos will probably be a flagship tag team of SmackDown Live along with American Alpha. Because if you look at the SmackDown Live tag teams, they're secondary compared to what Raw has. Raw has New Day in the WWE Tag Team Championship. They have Enzo and Cass. They have the Club. You know, three very, very strong tag teams. So SmackDown's tag team division is really going to have to step it up. And hopefully this pre-show match tonight on Battleground between the Usos and Breezango gives us a small sample of that. So we're going to go ahead and go with the upset Breezango to win this match. Now we're going to move on to the Intercontinental Championship match. The Miz is back, and he's defending his title against Darren Young. Let's Make Darren Young Great Again with Bob Backlund. And Darren Young 2 weeks ago somehow won a battle royal to determine the Miz's #1 contender to face him at Battleground. So there hasn't been a whole lot of time to get this feud really going. There's been a few interaction segments. You throw in Maurice and Bob Backlund, and you get yourself a little feud here. And as far as the Miz goes, his win-loss record has not been very impressive since his return. He's had a couple matches with WWE Champion Dean Ambrose, which obviously has not fared out well for the Miz. And then they did the tag team match with the champions Rusev and Miz taking on Darren Young and Zack Ryder, which honestly I forgot who won that match now. But anyways, that's the Miz has been just kind of floating around here. And the real question is though, Miz was drafted to SmackDown Live because he had the Intercontinental Championship, which was a counter to Raw, a pick earlier taking Rusev, in the United States Championship. Darren Young now is a Raw superstar. So, what would happen if Darren Young pulls off the upset here at Battleground and wins the Intercontinental title, taking a title away from SmackDown? It could happen. It very well could happen. So the pressure is on The Miz for SmackDown Live to keep the Intercontinental title there. So, we also have a Rusev and Zack Ryder match as well on the show, which I'll talk about in a little bit here. But there's a possibility of championships switching brands tonight, since this is technically the last pay-per-view where the brands are together before the draft stuff. I mean, yeah, SummerSlam's a Raw SmackDown coexist show, but are they going to have inter-brand matches for titles? I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know if brands are going to introduce their own titles. There's a lot of questions we don't know the answers to yet. But obviously the Intercontinental United States Championships are both respectively the secondary titles, and both of them respectively should be on opposite shows. So either Miz and Rusev are both going to retain the night at Battleground, or Darren Young and Zack Ryder are both going to pull off upsets and take the titles to their new shows. However, I don't know how gung-ho they are about the Make Darren Young Great Again storyline, but I'm going to say Miz is going to keep the Intercontinental title. And it's not so much, I think, that Darren Young can't beat The Miz. It's going back to what I said before, both titles switching brands. And this goes more into the next match, Rusev Zack Ryder for the United States Championship. Rusev is on fire right now, guys. And ever since that whole League of Nations thing disbanded, Rusev has been great. I feel like it's been a resurgence of his character. He destroyed Kalisto to win back the United States Championship for a second time. And other than that really random loss to Dolph Ziggler with the Zack Ryder diversion, Rusev's pretty much been unbeatable again. And that's what he should be. He's a great monster heel. And now with the brand split, Rusev could easily become the world champion of a brand. So this is one of the wrestlers that this brand split benefits, is Rusev, I think. Because before, when he had so many main event caliber talents together, it's hard for a guy like Rusev to get himself up there with your Seth Rollins, your Dean Ambrose, your Roman Reigns, your John Cena's, your AJ Styles, those guys. So this brand split is going to help a guy like Rusev possibly become a future world champion. Now Zack Ryder obviously has been kind of on fire lately. He won the Intercontinental Championship back at WrestleMania, only to lose it to The Miz the next day, which, he kind of got his feel-good moment, I'd first say. And really, since then, it's been kind of the jobber to the stars, but all of a sudden now, Ryder's changed up his theme music slightly, and it's got a little more edgier to him. He's got that beard, and Lord and behold, he's kind of got some winning ways to him now. But Zack Ryder should not dethrone Rusev of the United States Championship. Rusev is dominating. He should continue dominating. And this is why I see Miz and Rusev both retaining the titles, because I can't see Rusev losing, and he shouldn't lose. But there's the WWE swerve here that could be a Zack Ryder and Darren Young both leaving Battleground the champions. So these two matches are very, very big as far as the brands go tonight. The wrestling, per se, I don't know what we're going to see. I think this Rusev-Zack Ryder match could be good. It could be fun. So we'll be interested to see how these two matches go. And I also want to know if there will be any more interferences, per se, because obviously it's important that the brands keep the titles with them. So will wrestlers from Raw or SmackDown Live get involved to make sure Miz and Rusev keep the titles with them, or sway them away from them? Will the general managers get involved, or the commissioners get involved? So that's a question that we'll find out later tonight. And then finally, Becky Lynch and Natalya are going to throw down a match that's been boiling over for weeks now. You go back to Money in the Bank, where Becky and Natalya were a tag team against Charlotte and Dana Brooke, and things didn't work out for Becky and Natalya, which led to a really random Natalya heel turn. She betrayed Becky after the match, fed up of losing, because Natalya and Charlotte had been feuding the entire spring, and Charlotte has gotten the better of Natalya pretty much every time when the title's on the line. And now she's basically lashing out, blaming Becky, blaming the world. And keep in mind, these two have been drafted to the SmackDown brand. These two women are pretty much the elite of the SmackDown brand for women wrestling. Charlotte, Sasha, Paige, Dana, they're all on Raw. Becky and Natalya are on SmackDown. And, the belt, of Charlotte, that's on Raw. So SmackDown, there isn't a women's championship on that show right now. Now, whether or not Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan introduce a SmackDown Women's Championship remains to be seen. But Becky Lynch and Natalya would have to be the favorites to carry the title for that brand. So we could very well see these two facing off again at SummerSlam with a Women's Championship on the line, perhaps. So this might be the only, per se, not sure the only, but the first match of many we could see between these two. And honestly, I feel both brands should have a Women's Championship. Otherwise, what's the point of wrestling if you're not wrestling for a championship? Becky Lynch, Natalya, and then they also have Naomi over there on SmackDown. All the NXT call-ups like Carmella, Eva Marie, and Alexa Bliss. So it's a very exciting time for the SmackDown women. You got some nice, fresh women wrestling up there. And they're going to try to go against the veterans like Natalya and Naomi and Becky. As far as this match goes, it should be a good match. Both of these women are very great in the ring at what they do. Now the question is, who's going to win this match? I really would like to see Becky win this match. I really would like to see Becky Lynch become the face of the SmackDown women. I feel Becky has been the underdog of the women for so long. I mean, keep in mind, she was one of the best talents in NXT along with Charlotte, Sasha, Bayley. But Becky never held the NXT Women's Championship. And now she's on the main roster and, still hasn't found that championship yet. So I really would like to see Becky become the face of the SmackDown women, get this win over Natalya, and say to Shane and Daniel, I have what it takes to be the women's champion. And I think Becky Lynch deserves that. But then again, Natalya will stake her claim being the veteran, and she's been in the WWE for several years, and she deserves the title too. So it should be a good argument. It should be a good match. I'm looking forward to it. The other women's match we have is Charlotte, the women's champion, and Dana Brooke will be in a tag team match once again. This time they're facing the returning Sasha Banks and a mystery partner. So now Charlotte is basically not defending her championship on a pay-per-view again, which really bothers me because this is now 2 months in a row. And this is very Nikki Bella-ish, if you remember from last year. This reign is very similar to Nikki Bella's. They're trying to get her a big reign, avoid championship matches at every pay-per-view, and tag team matches. Because if you remember, Nikki always teamed Brie or Alicia Fox, Team Bella. But now we got Charlotte, who's always got her little lackey, Dana Brooke, now with her for these tag team matches. So, well, we probably should have had Sasha versus Charlotte one-on-one for the championship at Battleground. We're not going to have that. Most likely that match is going to be saved for the big pay-per-view SummerSlam next month. So the big question is, who is Sasha's partner going to be? Well, there's people that are thinking Bayley. Bayley's in NXT. Bayley should have been drafted. And I don't know why she wasn't drafted. I'm kind of pissed about it because what does Bayley have left to prove in NXT? She's been the women's champion. She's put her time in. She's probably the most deserving woman out of anybody down in NXT that should have been drafted. And here, she wasn't drafted. So, is there a swerve here where Bayley gets the call up to be Sasha's partner for a one-night thing, or is it going to be, her becoming a free agent and signing with Raw or SmackDown? And being that these are all Raw women, Bayley would join the Raw team. That's a possibility, but I don't see it, unfortunately. Now you got to look at the Raw roster for women. Okay, they drafted Paige. So could Paige be the partner? I don't think so. They already had that about a month ago with Sasha's return of Paige. So Paige, don't think so. Then you gotta look at Naomi's returning. Now that's a rumor going around the internets. I totally disagree with that for several reasons. Naomi, SmackDown. These gals, Raw. And you guys remember Team Bad, Sasha, Naomi, and Tamina. There was a falling out. So to have Sasha and Naomi team up would be stupid. Terrible booking. Should not happen. Now here's a dark horse candidate that some people are thinking. And I'm going to actually probably say this is the person Sasha teams with. Nia Jax. Nia Jax drafted to Raw from NXT. And Nia came out and said she wants to take down Charlotte. So this is kind of maybe her way of getting her chance to show Charlotte what she has. But of course, Sasha Banks also has the aspirations of becoming the women's champion. So Sasha and Nia could team up tonight to take down Charlotte and Dana. But obviously, two very strong personality women want to be the champion to take down Charlotte. So they could have a very short tenure of teammates only to dissolve quickly, because that's pretty much how women are in the wrestling business. As you can see, they don't last. So we'll say Nia Jax is the partner. But anyway you cut it, no matter who Sasha's partner is going to be, I'm going to go ahead and say Sasha and mystery partner are going to win. This way, Sasha Banks then has a legit claim that she's beaten Charlotte and Dana again, and that she deserves a shot at the WWE Women's Championship. And with Mick Foley being on Raw as a big advocate of women's wrestling, he is going to make that match for SummerSlam in his backyard, guaranteed. So book that. Up next, you got this really strange storyline. New Day versus the Wyatt family. The Wyatts came back, and all of a sudden New Day just came out and basically just degraded them like they've done to everybody. And this has been a really strange twist and turn storyline here. I mean, Xavier's kind of freaked out by Bray, and then you got the whole compound match, which was a complete ripoff of TNA's little found deletion thing with Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, Brother Nero. That was all weird. But I don't understand, per se, why this rivalry is happening. Why is New Day going after the Wyatts? Is it just to provoke them? Provoke the Beast, per se? I don't know. But the titles are not on the line, obviously, because it's a 3-on-3 match. And here's something to take in here. Braun Strowman was drafted to Raw. Bray and Rowan were drafted to SmackDown. So this is going to be the last time Braun Strowman will be with the Wyatt family. So this is going to be interesting to see what Braun Strowman's future is going to be like without the Wyatts by his side. And then again, with Bray and Rowan going to SmackDown, you got the New Day on Raw. So this is probably going to be like a one-off kind of match. Now, consider the titles are on the line. I think the Wyatts need to win this match, and they should win this match if they're to gain any momentum. Because I feel like the Wyatts have been booked not very good lately before they took their brief hiatus again. And I think Bray needs to be a world champion. Bray just needs to be elevated, pushed. And he's another wrestler that could benefit from this brand split. He probably didn't need a brand split to be elevated as a top guy, but for some reason, creative doesn't know what to do with a guy like Bray Wyatt. So hopefully this gets Bray his chance, and it's going to come at New Day's expense. And then you got Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, part 57, because here we go again, boys and girls. I love Zayn. I love Owens. But I can do without another singles match between them at a pay-per-view. I mean, you look throughout the entire year of 2016, they've been intertwined on the main roster. You look at the entire year of 2015, they've been intertwined in NXT before Sami went down. So they claim this is the last match between the two, but they're both on Raw. And that's one thing that actually makes me mad about the draft. I wish these two would have been separated so they really could have moved on and did their own thing. And of course, they have also been kind of intertwined with Cesaro and Chris Jericho, and those two got put on Raw as well. So all four of these guys are on Raw. I really wish they would have moved them to SmackDown, two of them. Probably Cesaro and Owens. And left Zayn and Jericho on Raw. But that's not the way things went down. We got a match between the two, and it's going to be a great match. But if it's going to be a quote-unquote last match, why wasn't this a stipulation added? How come it's not an I Quit match or a last man standing match? You know, truly, if you're going to end a rivalry, you need a stipulation. And this is where I think WWE messed up with these two. I mean, an I Quit match or a last man standing match would have been a true way to settle the feud between these two. As far as a winner goes, I'm not going to pick a winner. And here's why. I think this match ends in a draw. I think you're going to see these two go at it one more time at SummerSlam with a stipulation. That's my thought. I'm sticking to it. And then you have John Cena with Enzo and Cass taking on the Club. And obviously, Styles and Cena have had their little rivalry going on the last month or so. We saw at Money in the Bank, Styles get the better of Cena because of club interference. This time, Cena knows he can't beat three guys. So Enzo and Cass have come to his aid. And this is a great spot for Enzo and Cass to be in because they're not in a tag team championship run. You know, this keeps them in the conversation. This is a main event feud between Cena and the Club. So, getting them with Cena, great thing for Enzo and Cass. That means WWE has a lot of faith in these guys. But, you know, after this Battleground show, a lot of these guys are going different ways. Enzo Cass, Raw. Cena, SmackDown. AJ Styles, though, will join Cena on SmackDown. But Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are going to Raw. So the Club is getting separated. And this new formed friendship between Enzo Cass and Cena is also getting separated. So it will be interesting to see where we go from here. Cena Styles will probably continue their feud through SummerSlam. Enzo Cass and the Club could intertwine could try to, you know, fight each other to see who should fight New Day for the WWE Tag Team Championship. But you look at Raw, and there's somebody else there that's got ties to Gallows and Anderson. Finn Balor, NXT, drafted very early, mind you, to Raw. Could we see the Balor Club finally come to fruition? This is a big question. Do we see that come through tonight? Do we see that tomorrow night on Raw? I'm thinking tomorrow night on Raw. I'm thinking there's a strong possibility we could see Gallows, Anderson, and Finn Balor coexist. But if you want to talk about this match here tonight, I definitely can't see John Cena losing 2 pay-per-views in a row. And as how creative is on fire with Enzo and Cass, Cena, Enzo, Cass are going to beat the club here. That's my thought. And last match of the night, but before we talk about that real quick, Randy Orton will be talking with Chris Jericho on the highlight reel to promote the Brock Lesnar match. And, you know, not really sure what's going to happen with the whole Lesnar situation. The match will happen, but I'll talk more about that another time. But let's just say Jericho's probably going to get an RKO. But hey, main event, Dean Ambrose, WWE World Champion, the face of SmackDown. Seth Rollins, the challenger, the face of Raw. And Roman Reigns, another strong candidate from the Monday Night Raw team. So the former Shield members finally are facing off. Disappointing, though, that it's on a B-level pay-per-view Battleground. I felt this match should have been a SummerSlam or WrestleMania main event. But with the brand splits and these guys all separated, I guess the time was now to have this match. Now, obviously, we know Roman walked into Money in the Bank the champion last month, and Rollins got the better of him in a great match. But little did Rollins know, Ambrose came out of nowhere with that Money in the Bank briefcase he won earlier tonight, cashed in, and beat Rollins. So, obviously, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins felt they should have a shot at Ambrose, and they fought on the Raw show after Money in the Bank. And then it was a draw. So Ambrose said, hell with it, I'll fight you both. Roman gets suspended. He's out. So it was on Ambrose and Rollins to, once again, build this match. And they built it great. Rollins taking a shot at Reigns constantly. Ambrose doesn't care who he fights. You know, it's going to be a great match. Looking forward to it. Should be a 5-star match, hopefully. We'll see. Curious to see how Roman Reigns' reaction is to the crowd. It's going to be hostile. And I think they need to flip the switch to make him a heel now, because he's already disliked before this controversial suspension, but now it's going to be worse than ever. Like, you got to go heel with Reigns. He can't be a face. But the real question is, who leaves Battleground champion? Obviously, Dean Ambrose has the title now, and he's the face of SmackDown. Reigns and Rollins are Raw guys. And you can't tell me Stephanie's going to make sure that the WWE Championship comes to Raw. So, don't be surprised to see Stephanie somehow manipulate this main event. Obviously, Shane and Daniel Bryan would like Dean Ambrose to return to the SmackDown Live brand with the WWE Championship. So, I could definitely see general managers and commissioners playing a role in this match. Now you got the whole, what happens if, you know, Dean wins? Raw doesn't have a world championship. Stephanie's not going to be happy. And does she create a WWE championship of her own? Or, let's say, Rollins or Reigns wins the title. Does Shane and Daniel create a title of their own? You know, there's questions that will be answered in a few days. Because obviously only one person's going to win this match. So, who's going to win? You know, honestly, I'm a huge Seth Rollins fan. He's my favorite current wrestler at the time. And I would like to see him win. But, logically, I think for storyline reasons, I'm going to say Ambrose keeps the title a little longer. He's going to take it back to SmackDown. Stephanie's going to go ballistic. Probably blame Rollins. This could lead into a Rollins face turn. This could lead to the return of Triple H and get that Rollins Triple H match that a lot of people have been kind of talking about for SummerSlam. But, you know, Raw still needs a world champion. So, there's lots of unanswered questions. And obviously we have to see how Battleground plays out first. But, for right now, I'm going to say Ambrose retains the championship. Because let's be honest, Ambrose was kind of the bitch to Reigns and Rollins in just about every match they've had. Very few times Ambrose has been the one to get the upper hand on Reigns and Rollins. And I think Ambrose gets that now at Battleground. To say he walked in and walked out the WWE World Champion. That's my thought on that match. So I'm looking forward to it. And that is it for my Battleground preview. So I'm going to be live tweeting this tonight. You can follow that. Chairman Podcast. That's where I'll be on Twitter. Follow me, like me, subscribe me, ask questions, send feedback. That's all I have for us today on the Chairman's Wrestling Podcast. Hopefully the next few days I'll get a chance to, watch Raw, watch SmackDown, and we can talk about the fallout after Battleground. So make sure you check out Battleground tonight on the WWE Network. Should be a great show. Thanks for checking out the Chairman's Wrestling Podcast, and I'll catch you guys next time.